but she,
70-28.
Yeah, I'm on, but I can't figure out how to make my audio work.
you're doing fine. Hold on, I'm just gonna I'm recording this meeting, just so you know.
Okay, thanks.
The lights were beautiful. Maybe it's so good.
I are just slaving away, spending our weekends when we could be watching football and.
I drove into town this Saturday night. It was dark and it looked so pretty. Yeah. The lights all along look great. I love the new signs, Jay.
Oh, yeah. Spring sign.
So one of the ones for the
Lights
trees.
on.
They used to have like this
Yeah,
plain square whiteboard, but not this year. It's like fancy looking. Oh, sweet. That's very. All right. Guess we're ready, right?
6:01.
So move on. Great, all right, we can call to order. And I know I left off the agenda, but the protocol thing, we should adopt the minutes, which I know Joy did earlier. I mean, our last meeting was
April 16th. Did you not get a copy, Lisa? 1, 2, 3, 4. And Matt, I'll send one to you too to put on the website.
that'd be great.
There you go.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the April 16th, 2024 minutes.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
Have an item to update on progress of the Livingston building, which is beautiful and street. Not really good field.
Or, the construction has obviously finished in the Realtor office. The spa and hair salon is coming along really well. The signs are purchased, the lighting is done, the inside is, laid out. They've got all of their, plumbing done, so it's coming along nicely. The upstairs is already sheetrocked, so that's taken shape. It really looks great. I mean, they're small apartments, but they're going to be popular, I think. As far as the grant is concerned, of the $1 million, they've used at this point 902,442.41. When I say used, that means that they've submitted expenses for that amount and they've been reimbursed by DHCD. That means they've got about 97,500 to go, and then they'll be using their own funds to finish. They've
I
estimated
spoke
they'll
with,
use-
I spoke with Jake Yeager, who's the code enforcement officer for the county. I think in late October, I met with him. And he said at that time they had about 6 months worth of construction to go before they would be issued a permanent C of O or be ready for the inspection for permanent C of O. He said that there's a temporary C of O for the real estate office, but that they didn't pass their plumbing and mechanical roughing inspections. There was some, things they had to go back and do. But again, at that point, he thought they were at least 6 months out.
There we go.
So the
I really didn't get I'm not sure what Rosemary said. I think.
Rosemary said that she spoke to the county building and zoning department. They said that it would be about 6 months before they were going to get their permanent certificate of occupancy. They've got their temporary C of O for the um, realty office. We're going to be,
Matt, I think you killed the Zoom and turned on Fox News.
Sorry.
that's hysterical.
I know you were just trying to mute one of the TVs
It
to
was.
eliminate the echo factor.
No, I think it was another motive.
We appreciate.
It's still being recorded, by the way, and still, so, I mean, you
Well,
just can't see the picture.
We'll save this humor for posterity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they've got $97,000 left to draw that they'll be reimbursed for. And then at that point, they'll be tapping into their own funds.
So they know that they're going to exceed. I mean, not that it matters after it's not town money anymore, but
They've said that they'll spend the 800,000 that they're required to spend.
yeah, okay. I just wonder about the budget for those apartments. Curiosity, not anything else.
As far as,
Is
No,
that,
I'm just wondering how much it costs to renovate the Lilliston building and make this thing.
yeah, well, like I say, it's already sheetrocked. So, and the electrical is done. The plumbing is done. So they're making good headway upstairs.
We know the roof is.
That is a gorgeous roof. I'm not kidding. It is fantastic.
I don't think the cost has been a surprise to them.
Okay,
No.
that's another way of.
they've had an
Thank you.
excellent handle on what they're doing from
Yeah.
day one. I think
Yeah.
they're good. Mhm.
You got to talk into your microphone. You have to hit the push button.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so does anyone have any other questions or concerns about project?
Well, just thanks for sending over the schedule.
Mhm.
I don't know if anyone else had problems, but I'm like on a Chromebook, and I opened it and there were all the numbers and I started looking at them and then it went to error. Did anyone else get that?
No, mine came out okay.
Okay,
Mine.
I'll see if I
have it.
can
I made
if I can
it.
download it to Microsoft. Maybe I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, because it's an Excel sheet. But basically it says that the projected repayment would begin next July.
Yeah.
Well, that, again,
Right.
that's based on, a temporary
Yep.
guess.
Yep, that's projected.
And
So when
we're
they
going to
factor in-
be asking DHCD for an extension probably until October, just to
Right.
put a date out there so we don't have to ask for another.
And then they start, they come in about $3,300, right?
Yeah, that's about right. And they repay over 40 years. We get the $1 million back at that point, but we also get 500 and change and interest,
Right.
which is what, it's one of the main reasons that this is such a powerful grant for the town.
So could you give me that again so I can write it down, please?
Obviously it's a 40-year loan, so they pay over 480 payments of about $3,300 per month. Over the 40 years, that generates $1 million in payback and also about 500 and change.
582,935.
Thank you. So we've got that money in interest that we can also spend for the purposes of the EDA, but also include in future loans.
So after 40 years, we would have $592,935.
That's correct. But you also
Of course,
get
don't
it.
have to wait for 40 years.
You don't have to wait 40 years for the interest expenditures, which, is a great segue for the next item on your agenda.
Okay, that's about.
If
process to
Matt,
select
if
an attorney? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, before we go any further though, so if they decide not to wait for the entire term and pay early, first of all, it's not one of those types of loans that has sort of an early payment penalty, does it? It's just-
No,
it's
they can
no-
prepay if they want.
Thank you.
And
I
if
can
they-
tell you that since I was her landlord, that the amount of her monthly payments are more reasonable than what she was paying in rent for the two buildings she gave up.
Wow,
Right.
Good.
good move, yeah.
Mhm.
Great.
So, I mean, from a safety, just wondering, I mean, that's a very, very safe number.
Good.
For her to pay back.
Oh, yeah, I'm not concerned about
Yeah.
their ability to do so. I was just some loans are
if-
structured so that you're guaranteed, the interest over the term.
If they sell
haven't
the
looked at the
building,
loan
it triggers a
structure, so.
prepayment?
Okay, so I know that
Never
we,
got a copy of that.
you know, there's,
Loan structure.
oh, we have the documents, right?
Okay.
Those are the ones we signed way back when.
Okay.
Yep. I know that we should keep on our horizon at least the issue of how we would set up the revolving loan fund and some guidelines and how that would be spent moving forward. I think it's a little premature at this point, right? But I just want to acknowledge that because I know it's come up. People are curious about it. So just kind of putting a placeholder there because at some point, hopefully within the year, we'll start to collect some money if we're lucky and then it'll begin to build and then we'll have a resource that we can use. So as that gets a little closer, we'll revisit this topic. And Matt's right. This does sort of bring us to the next item, which is a process to select an attorney. And just to kind of revisit the history, and please weigh in if I leave anything out. I know that we did two things. One, with Joy's help, we asked the town council to provide some seed capital to allow the EDA to function and to pay for resources such as an attorney. I believe there's $25,000 that was set aside that will help us when we need to spend money.
It's 20 even.
Yeah.
20, I beg your pardon. Thank you. Okay, so it's 20K. And then with a resolution of this authority, we did send out several requests to various lawyers around the state who might be interested in providing those services. I'm sorry to say that only one person responded. And so I just recently reached out to him again because it seems like the time may be ripe to begin to put some things in place. He's on paternity leave right now. So, so what I wanted to just suggest and see what you all thought, this is for discussion, is whether we might want to resolicit or perhaps there are others we could reach out to. The one guy who did respond, I'm sorry, I'm spacing out, his name is Max Herline, I think. He's a fairly young attorney. He was highly recommended by Michelle Gowdy, does a lot of municipal work around the state. And, he won't be on paternity leave forever. So we may want to revisit that, but also given how much time has passed and just things change in law firms, maybe we do one more round of letters if you think that's a good idea, if you have other suggestions.
Well, we could speak with other towns similar in population to us and budget and see if they have any recommendations for an attorney that they're pleased with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think, again, this is not, we don't have any matters on our calendar with needing urgent attention that require an attorney, but
Yeah.
we want to put this in place so we can move forward. Otherwise, it's just,
It would be nice to have a choice.
Right.
Just a single
right.
response doesn't feel too great.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's follow up. If anyone has suggestions, anyone at all, please follow up and with me and we'll resend the letters. Yes. Okay.
Oh, never mind.
Anything, Jake?
I was just wondering what the criteria was for the initial.
Oh, I'll resend you the letter. Yeah. I mean, we just asked them to please provide,
How did you come up with a list? I guess.
we-
Michelle Gowdy.
yeah, we asked, I
Okay.
asked Michelle Gowdy. I think maybe Matt had some ideas. Anyone we could think of who might be interested.
Gotcha.
So, and we asked them just to, present their background experience, relevant experience and their rates. And like I said, we only got.
Matt, Eric Gregory's not expressed any interest in being our EDA attorney, has he? I mean, that's not.
I think
been
the
approached.
EDA discounted him as an option so that the town and the EDA would have separate
Right.
counsel.
I just wonder if he would know somebody he could recommend though, Katie, perhaps put him on your list and ask, yeah.
Yep. He's in that world. Okay. Okay. Anything else with regard to our consulting services. Okay, great. Next on the agenda, I just know everyone's aware that we do have a vacancy here on the EDA. I know there's a woman in town named Kendra Stearns who lives nearby on Market Street. She's an attorney. She has worked in her career on revitalizations of small historic downtowns, very dynamic person in my estimation, and was very interested in serving. Fletcher had mentioned her, I believe, to me. I've met her. I know Lisa has met her, and I believe Fletcher, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this name was put forward at the town council, and the council had reservations about moving forward. So
What were their reservations?
I
think it was specific to the EDA, not having met the person yet and offering a recommendation. I feel like maybe, and Joy, please correct me. I'm sorry. Board Member Marino, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was some concern about somebody going forward without the board making the recommendation. Is that correct?
Yes, in a way. I was looking to bring it up. Matt has on the town website the state code of how appointments are made, vacancies are filled on boards, advisories, everything. That rests with the duly elected representatives that serve on the council. We appoint, we accept resignations, and we didn't know Kendra, basically is what. And we've in the past appointed people to council even that we didn't know, and we decided that we would not do that anymore, that we would ask for resumes, which I think we had her resume.
definitely, she had
Yeah.
applied through the town's website. She
Right,
had submitted
right.
her
Yeah.
website to the town.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened in that information, but
Oh, we had it. We had the her resume. I thought there were other people interested that I'd been told they were, but
I
maybe
believe
they
she's the only
didn't,
person who applied.
who followed through.
Has she applied again, Matt? Do you know? Or is her application still valid?
She's still interested.
Okay. Anybody else respond?
No.
No. Okay.
Seems like a good opportunity.
Well, it's not our, I mean, it's not our appointment to make.
Right.
But and I'm at a little bit of a haze on this. Does the council look to us to make a recommendation to them, even though they may or may not take it?
That's a good question. Well, that's exactly what happened. A
Uh-huh.
recommendation was made, not by the EDA. Yeah,
Right.
and we didn't take it.
Well,
And because, like I said, we didn't know, but now we have the opportunity to discuss it.
Mhm.
And that would be an EDA appointment then. This body would make a recommendation to council.
Well, is this young lady happen to be a full-time resident of the town, or is she a part-time? Could she meet with the council or us at some point in
I think
time?
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent idea. Like I said, in the past, we've just blindly appointed
Yeah.
and then sort of went,
Well-
ooh, yeah, so. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah, she just went through a personal tragedy, so we're gonna have to wait a little while before we ask to have her.
Uh-huh, okay. And I'm asking this question. I thought at one point I had heard a name of a gentleman that was, that the council or was looking to appoint to take Steve Johnson's spot.
right.
And that, I mean, then I never heard any more from that until I got the email that this lady had been asked or was being,
I think the operative point is that she's one person who actually followed through
Applied
and
for it.
applied. Right.
mhm.
Can you share the resume?
Yeah.
There's,
Go ahead.
if I could answer.
Yeah.
At this past council meeting, it was also Planning Commission and EDA. And so then you know, go down the Google hole on how this is supposed to happen. There is code definitely about how appointments are made. And like I said, thanks to Matt, he put it right there. And I've thought about this a lot. It's been on my mind. There's a reason for that. So that, like, for instance, I'll just use waterfront as an example, because nobody's going to mind me talking about waterfront. If waterfront appoints their own members, then they create a little club, so to speak, of waterfront people who think like them. I learned early that it's really to my benefit to listen to opposing viewpoints. I learn a lot.
Mhm.
And sometimes it even changes my vote. So my point is, in summary, that decision rests with council for a reason. Because otherwise, and I know Planning Commission did not like it, and there was some kerfuffle over it. But there's a reason for that. You know, it's good governance, I think, a good democracy. So
No, I think there's no question that the town council meeting even in months, so there's no overstepping here, I don't think at all. Two members have met her and thought highly of her, and that's, she was black, so.
Matt, is Rosemary on?
She's
I
here,
can-
yeah, she's just not on
I can
TV.
hear part of it, but not much.
Okay, I think the other thing that comes to mind is just that we may want to just all keep our ears open and eyes open in case there are other members of the public that we know, other neighbors who might be interested in serving. That's going forward, and
I think the deadline's January 1st.
Mhm.
The deadline for planning commission is January 1st. There wasn't a deadline for this.
Maybe we should do one.
rolling admissions, right?
What happens if we exceed the deadline without an appointment?
Deadline to submit resumes. And then it would go to the next council meeting. Well, no, it would come to the next EDA for a recommendation to council.
I don't think that's in the law.
I don't think,
I think the council makes the appointments, and I don't think there's anything in the statute about the
says you
ZBA
make-
having a
right.
formal role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
you're right.
My only other question is, are we gonna promote this somehow? To get interest, or how do
There is
we?
a
Well,
nice
it's on the
big red
website.
banner at the
Okay.
top
Yeah.
of the town's website. I did notice that.
just throwing it
Hard
out
to
there.
miss, but
Because we currently already have somebody who has applied. So I don't want to make her wait too long either.
Agreed.
That's not appropriate.
Well, it sounds like Matt said she's got other things going on, so.
Cool.
It says there are openings on both the Economic Development Authority and the Planning Commission. Contact the mayor or the town manager for more. It scrolls. Information by 1/1/25. So there is a deadline.
okay. Anything else anyone like to?
But in the minutes, I can say that EDA and or council will interview. Is that what we
I
decided?
think so. I think that we're aware of one candidate who has applied, and that everyone will use best efforts to make sure any other possible candidates apply through the channels so that the town council can review candidates and appoint someone quickly.
So then you're saying town council will interview.
That's up to the town council. I don't really know what their process is, but that's,
who else would?
Well, wouldn't you like to meet the person we're going to appoint?
I want to see the resume, but my
No.
vote doesn't count, so it doesn't, it's neither here nor there.
Okay.
None of us saw each other before we were appointed.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, none of us saw each other before we were appointed.
True.
no, I mean, I think every person sitting at this table, I'll exclude myself, has great ideas and a good judgment and now knows about. right? So I think it's
then
smart
they-
to
yeah.
solicit feedback and to make introductions. But that's just smart so that we all work together, as the rest of our conversation will illustrate. If we don't work together, it's kind of not going to be as productive as it might. But I, under the law, it's pretty clear it's the town council's appointment. And soliciting feedback is what you do from the public every time you meet.
Yeah.
Okay, so the steps are, so I can put it in the minutes. You know, sort of puts me under the gun there,
Yeah.
getting in the minutes. The steps
Right.
will be deadline of January 1st. At that point, what happens?
Town council will review them
Right.
and
Okay,
then vote at the 27th of January.
okay, got it.
But our minutes can't say what the town council will do, right? Our minutes. say
Well, we
that's
can
our
recommend,
understanding.
and then we'll point, okay.
And I missed that. Did you recommend the resume being submitted to us for review? Or did you say to have her come and talk and meet with us personally?
And it sounds like Katie's suggesting that we kind of follow what the state code is, which is that town council appoints. Now, they
Yeah.
might request a recommendation from us.
I'm personally would be happy to look at a resume, and
Right.
after reviewing the resume, if I had questions or worries, at that point, bring it back to the group.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Mhm.
if interviewing her, if we're not going to make the appointment, I don't think we need to drag her through an interview here
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
personally. I mean,
Right.
it's,
And we can also potentially say something at the council meeting if we're unhappy with the decision that they're going to make. We have,
All right, I got it.
Okay. Okay. I think all right, let's go on to two things, actually, that probably should have been here with the filling the vacant seat, is that I believe Matt is no longer able to serve as treasurer for us going forward.
Council asked me to back off just a few different tasks so that I can free
Understood.
up.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on. And so I would like to we need to pick someone else from our board to serve as the treasurer, since Matt unfortunately is not able to do it. And so we can open that up for discussion if anyone's interested in volunteering.
I actually have some questions about what that would look like,
Mhm.
because we currently don't have our own financial system
Mhm.
for doing all that. So what would that look like operating? Because I mean, the town's still writing the checks and doing the CAM submission and all that jazz. So what would the treasurer's role look like here now, and what would it potentially grow to be?
I think for us, correct me if I'm wrong, I think for us right now, it's almost, it's a required seat,
Of
but
course.
a position, but I think it's almost just a pro forma right now, because we don't, as you said, have our own finances. And I believe that we officially resolved to let the town manage the Lilliston grant for us. So
Right.
that is sort of off our books, and we don't need our treasurer to be the person managing that. Matt is going to handle that. He has been handling it, and he'll continue to do
You
so.
can take me, you could choose to take me off as a signer on the bank account.
Okay,
But we, the town, will still manage the books because, they're part of our books anyway, and they're going to be part of our audit anyway. So we'll take care of the books. The treasurer can review the financials, and the treasurer can be a signer on the account.
right,
And that frees me up because Debbie's the one that does the books anyway.
right.
So when the loan repayment comes back in, and what's that projected to look like, Matt? Will it be coming here?
It will be coming here and then it'll be deposited, but we're in a different bank. So the EDA account is at Taylor. So it'll be deposited into Taylor into a separate bank. You guys will have signing authority on those. The town will not. So
And
That's-
and
that-
Debbie will be able to, or whomever is here
She'll-
would be able to cut checks on our behalf and all that
she'll
jazz.
cut the checks, but nobody in the town will have signing authority.
Okay.
So EDA will be required as a separate organization to sign its own check.
And once we start getting cash flow, do we have to meet the $1 million requirement to get an audit?
Well, as far as an audit, you mean
Like it's just
Right.
a general,
well, no, you don't have to. We're going to have to submit an audited financial statements, but that's going to be the town, the utility and then the EDA. Those three parts of it are going to be part of our
It'll
audit.
just be
anyway.
housed here,
Yes.
at least for now, until we get bigger or whatever. If we get.
Well, there is still, yeah, if you guys completely break away as your own organization, then at that point, yeah, we would remove you from our books.
Okay, thank you.
Sound like something you can do?
I can.
I think it would make sense to draft up sort of a job description. So summarize what was just discussed
Mhm.
here and think sort of outside of
Good
the
idea.
box in terms of what else would be required.
Mhm. Okay. You want to do that and then wait till next month and then we'll vote to change that?
Yeah, I don't think we're in a hurry to
Yeah.
fill the position. It's not like
Right.
anyone's dealing with,
Next month
a
or
lot of
next year.
cash flow.
Yeah,
so.
right. Okay, fair enough. That's a good idea. All right, thank you all. All right. Okay, now, this is the exciting part of it. Lisa has kindly agreed to provide us with an update of all the good work Main Street has been doing to survey our residents and to compile all that data and sort of bring into focus some of the kind of hopes and needs that people are looking to meet with downtown revitalization. And I think that this is so, I was lucky to see the presentation a little while ago, and I just think for me, it really helps kind of crystallize how we might move forward as a group. I know we've always talked about not wanting to duplicate the efforts of other organizations in town and make sure that we can sort of target some efforts in a way that our powers maybe make us uniquely qualified for. So anyway, if it's okay with everyone else, I would love for Lisa just to give us this presentation.
Sure. Over the summer, Main Street did an online survey for a few months. We got 404 respondents, which was huge. We're very excited about that. We also did 2 in-person community engagement events where we had people come in and kind of brainstorm with each other and write down on papers, what they feel was missing, what they love, what they don't love, about the town of Anacog. This is the results that were shared. We had a charrette with our stakeholders at the end of October. This is what was shared, which was the initial feedback from the survey. There were over 2,000 open-ended questions that still needed to be disseminated and really gone through to make it something that we could actually understand and hopefully work to, excuse me, do something about. I will say that we did just get those results back, but we have not had a chance to look at them. Like, we literally got them on Friday. So once we get those done, and we're hoping to give a presentation to town council in the January meeting of the whole entire survey, we will also share that with the EDA. So what you were looking at is what we presented to the charrette with our stakeholders about what we were seeing from the data that was not open-ended questions. A lot of the respondents, almost all of them, were on either in the town of Anacog or surrounding area, or residents of the Eastern Shore of Virginia. So for me, I thought that was fairly significant to see what our full-time community and other communities that surround us find charming about the town, want to see more of out of the town, and the reasons why they come and visit Anacog, because they're the people who are going to support our businesses year round, which is what we want. And then it breaks down how they discovered Anacog, which you'll see more in-depth detail on with the open-ended question once we get all that together.
I gotta tell you, it's a little disheartening to see that the 3%, the 2%, and the 1%, that's just amazing to me.
All the money that is spent to do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and the effort and
Yeah.
that one really shocks me.
What was the other 57%?
That's on the next page.
Oh,
Yes.
other.
We're also looking at, Main Street has a couple of marketing grants and a few that the town help us match funds for so that we can obtain those grants that do a lot of social media outreach and stuff. And so we're going to try to look at adding what they're seeing, because our profiles are doing extremely well based on their metrics. So we're going to try to all get all of that together with what we just gleaned out of people responding to us. So there's a lot more high level here than I'm going to be able to go into. This is not my background. But I thought these were great things to share about what we were seeing initially. I think you're going to get a lot more of a deep dive look when we look at the whole thing in its entirety, as opposed to just the questions that we have the responses to right here. But obviously the largest reason for people to come to Anancock is our dining experience. And I think that's important because I do view us as the best town on the Eastern Shore for dining experiences. And that's also the one thing that people seem to want the most of. But there's all kinds of things that are going on in here. And so just when you get a chance, take a look at it, knowing that there's a much better look coming, a lot more detailed. If you have any questions, let me know. But we were blown away by our number of respondents. So we're significantly very much in the game.
66% females, so we know who prefers filling out surveys.
We already knew that. Lisa, how did you send this out?
Well, we have not sent it out to anybody officially.
No,
This
the survey. I'm asking.
so we did postcards that were in restaurants, stores all throughout town. We did, I think, 1 or 2 advertisements in the Eastern Shore Post. There was online pushes. We sent it out to our listserv for our newsletter. We promoted it every time I turned around. I was talking about it. I went to OBCA, talked about it. I know we talked about it a little bit here. Cindy's reports were always sharing that this was coming up and when the deadline was due. So people said it was very well advertised, and I happen to think so as well, as the president of the organization. We also did direct mail to all 23417. So that's not just the town of, that was also the surrounding Anancock.
So just out of curiosity, in the survey, when it says things that you want to see more of in Anancock, for example, people say landscaping, flowers, trees, well-maintained facades and so forth. Were there choices or did people?
There were choices and then there were others, which was part of what we got further drilled down on.
Who are the stakeholders that you met with?
We met with the town. Matt was there. Fletcher was there. We met with 2 business owners from downtown. We asked tourism. Robert Sabatini was there. Joni from the school represented the school. Unfortunately, Hillary wasn't able to make it. We did invite our representative for Accomack County. He was unfortunately unable to make it. So Jackie Phillips is our supervisor. Yeah. And so it was groups of people like that were coming in to learn a little bit more because they have a vested interest in what goes on as well.
Well, thank you for sharing this.
Oh, no problem.
good.
I know you've been asking, so I
We've
couldn't wait to
asked-
get it out to you.
We have asked for the last 2 council meetings, and that's why I'm wondering if you couldn't include council in your stakeholder meetings.
Well, we did. We had, like I said, we had Fletcher. Sarah was unable to attend. She was invited. And then because Cindy's already on our board, we were concerned about the Open Meetings Act too, of bringing all of the council members there. But the town was represented.
By Fletcher and Matt.
Correct. Cindy was there too, although she was there as our board member, but yes, she's also was present. And because I've seen the next round of results, this is just the beginning. So I'm very excited to show it once we get a chance to go in there and put it into pieces that make sense for the community.
A lot of this looks like something that I think maybe Janet Foskey shared a lot earlier. It was a survey. She handed me, like on the street, a neatly packaged survey with graphs and a lot of the questions were similar.
They were so
Graphics and so forth.
So they did Main Street. I said we did. I was not part of the board then. When they were going through their initiation stage to become accredited, there were certain thresholds they had to meet, and they did. I think it was in 2019 or 2020. Matt, do you remember? In 2019, they held community engagements where people would come, and that there was like glass jars where you could put balls in, which would show the priorities of the community. And some of the things that were priorities at the time were internet. Well, a lot of that's been taken care of since then. A lot of desire for new streetlights and more facade things. And the town has actually come in and picked up part of those pieces. So some of the pieces that were already identified, which actually drives Main Street strategic plan, have already been accomplished or in the works. So this was kind of our next level up because our strategic plan does end this year. What's working? What do we need to start focusing on next is kind of where we're coming from it for Main Street. But the fact that we were able to share it with all of our stakeholders makes my heart smile.
Will your employee be replaced? Are you
Absolutely.
planning on posting the position?
Yes.
And
Yes. Unfortunately, it came right during the holidays. So we're working on it. We're actually drafting a new job description as we speak, and we're going from there. But yes, we're required to have an employee, so we will be replacing.
So I'll just say, I think a couple things. Hats off for getting so much participation, because that's really hard. It's really, really hard to get people to fill out surveys and do stuff like this. I think, to me, the sort of couple things were interesting. That people come for dining in the farmers market are the two highest numbers. And what I think that reinforces is that people come to town often for things that aren't like durable goods, right? Like they come to pick up fresh fruit or fresh vegetables, or they come to eat dinner. And I really think that's one of the secrets of a successful downtown is you have to have things that people need to come in frequently for, right? Because you're not going to buy clothes every day, but you need to buy groceries every day or something like that. So I just wonder how we take advantage of the fact that people are coming in for their sustenance, and how do we try to maybe increase our share of the local market in those goods and services? Is there a way to do that? The kinds of businesses that people said they wanted are kind of, I mean, again, just to my way of thinking, grocery is right there at the top, right? Ice cream, restaurant, it's all service stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I know everyone always comments about the empty storefronts and the lack of kind of liveliness, foot traffic, people coming, that sort of bustling quality that we're trying to get, I think. And again, I just wonder how we can focus our kind of efforts or coordinate, especially with Main Street, to try to help build that.
And Main Street is focusing on some of this as well. There'll be a proposal coming out to town council hopefully soon. And that we're going to ask for some money and also along with the county to start doing some of these projects to really see how we can help. And I definitely see a role for the EDA, because if there's buildings that need assistance,
Yep.
that's not something Main Street can get
Right.
money for, but potentially EDA can. And so it's, and back to your point, some of our other stakeholders that were there was the Planning Commission. Katie was there on behalf of the EDA. So we're really trying to get everybody who really needs to know what we're seeing so that we can work in coordination with each other. We're present.
Right.
I think of things like the farmer's market as an event, and it's a regular event, which is cool. And then other events I think really help too. The work that the EDA does with, just parades and,
Yeah, civic. Yeah.
those types of activities that draw people in. And maybe people who don't normally come here and then decide that they want to come back more. But anyhow. Gosh, I wonder who the 18-year-old is, or under 18.
That's a very public spirited 18-year-old. Yeah, I mean, I know Matt has been good about surfacing occasional grants that come across his desk. I know you guys see them all the time. There are a lot of opportunities out there. Again, I think for us, given that we're a board of volunteers with no staff, right? So we need to be selective in what we want to try to focus our efforts on. So want to make it something that's consistent with what the town is doing and what you all are doing, maybe what Civic Association is also doing, right? Just so that what's something that, given our unique legal framework and stature in the state, we can be uniquely qualified to contribute. So I'm just putting that out there. Better ideas or more ideas. Yes. Have an opportunity. There's a good foundation being laid by the town already and by Main Street.
And this certainly helps. I mean,
Yeah.
what people want. In fact, I was just watching or reading a news story today about Rudy Loop at the very end of Virginia Beach before you
Yeah.
go over the inlet,
I
and
was
they're,
working on that.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making a park. It's been parking lots and all junky stuff.
Yep.
And they're making a park, but they said, hey, it's the people's park. We need to know how they're going to use it
Right.
before we build it. So
Right.
that's sort of the key.
Yeah.
Right. Matt, are there any other town initiatives that we should be thinking about, or?
Well, we've got the 5-year CIP plan that the council approves as part of the budget, and that, that's funded with cash from the town. But obviously, if there were grants that could offset that, there's more that can be done. That would probably be my top recommendation. Is we've got about 500,000 a year that we've got budgeted to spend, and if we can, relieve some of the pressure, that would be super.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. And that's like infrastructure planning, like?
No, it's not too much. I mean, we've got everything from, a generator for the water tower, which, Department of Health has a grant for that. So, I mean, I'm going after that.
Right,
But to streetlights downtown, that's part of the capital plan over the next 24 months. So, and that's a lot of money that they
Mhm.
dedicated, almost 600,000 for that.
right,
Yeah. So so any offset that we could do to the CIP, and then once we've got all the tactics for the comprehensive plan are already listed, and that times out in about 18 months. So we'll be writing that, and any of those tactics that are currently in there that we could offset, would be helpful as well. It's a long to-do list.
this is a lot.
Yeah.
Better get familiar with the CI. Okay. All right, anything, Rosemary, anything you want to add?
No, I don't know if you can hear me. No?
That's
Good.
she's on.
Yeah, she's there. I just watched her drink a Pellegrino.
Well, there's a delay too.
Maybe she's not hearing us
Yeah,
there.
it's mute. And
Mhm.
yeah, double
Yeah,
secret.
my
mute.
might
guess
be on-
is-
It's hard
She
to
might
get
be
up.
on mute.
Double secret weird.
Sure, is Zoom muted? Is your computer muted? Is your audio muted? And you're like, holy sh-
All right, okay, so we have a sort of vague sense of goals at this point.
She said the audio is up and down. I'm mostly able to follow.
Okay, does she want to add anything?
I'll text her and ask her.
Yeah.
Or
I think the audio's up and down because we're not talking into our microphone.
Oh, sorry.
I'm trying.
I know.
gentle chide.
she said, no, I'm good.
Okay, all right, fine, good. All right, so I'm not hearing like a very crisp articulation of exactly our goals for this year, but I think this is a good foundation. Thank you for presenting it.
Well,
Like-
sorry,
Yeah,
Becky.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if I come across a grant that that would be up the EDA's alley, what are you going to do with it?
That's a good question.
It is.
I recommend that we entice entrepreneurs to come build ice cream parlors, grocery store. Speaking of grants, though, I mean, because the EDA rests largely on
Mhm.
grants, and I know that there are certain people who actively scour the internet for grants.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
is there a process for it, or do we have like people who are there? Is it volunteerism? Is it dedicated? Who's who all's
It'll
doing?
probably be a combination of if Matt sees anything and volunteerism from our board.
At this point, I think that's right. Or we take some of our 20,000 and hire, pay a consultant to help us write
Yeah.
the grant.
Right.
That would be
Yeah,
another use of that seed capital.
I met
seed
one
money.
this week who that's her goal is to offer her services to Anacog and surrounding towns. It's Willie Crockett's daughter. I don't know her last name. Yeah. We were in a workshop together and that's her goal is to search for grants for towns. So, she might be willing to do
Mhm.
something like that on a part-time basis. I'm not sure of her title right now with the county. She does some type of environmental, Matt, are you?
Yeah, if you know Beth Nunnally, who's the head of the environmental services for the
Right.
county,
Right.
she works with
Yeah.
her.
Okay.
Well, why don't we begin by just beginning our sort of research, right? See if maybe we find what looks good. Or
Well, do you think we're putting the cart before the horse? Should we be out there talking to property owners and looking at potential? I mean, or maybe it's a mixture of both.
right now, my observation, based on what I've heard from Main Street and others, is that there's been a lot of outreach to property owners and not that much
interesting.
interest. I could be wrong. I'm only hearing about it, but I don't know that the lack of outreach is the problem.
I guess I'm coming from a place of how can we write a grant if we don't know what the need is at the property? And if the property owner is not going to play ball,
Well, because I think if we broaden our scope a little bit to say that we could do work that would supplement the town's capital investments, right? We could be looking to find a economic development booster to a lot of the infrastructure or whatever work that the town is already doing. That's
And if you really want to geek out on this, then go to grants.gov, and it's got a filtering mechanism, and you can filter down to rural economic development and find out what's going on
Right.
there. And they talk about what's coming as well. So, if they say,
Oh,
hey,
nice.
there's a grant coming for, generators for water towers, I'm gonna be ready for that. And I'll, so if there's something that
right.
works with economic development and says, there's a grant for, enhancing local experiences, in rural America, we would go after that, but that would be you.
Right.
So that still goes back to my question is if we find that grant,
Right.
is the town writing it? Because we're pretty good at it.
Right.
But, or is this body gonna hire somebody, to do it? Or are you gonna divide up the grant application and say you write number one and I'll write number two and you write number three?
Never works.
So is it possible that the town would, are you offering the services of the town to write grants?
Well,
or-
it depends. I mean, I would think that if it
Right.
aligns with the comprehensive plan or the CIP, then absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If it's directed, specifically to economic development, I don't know that it would fall under our umbrella, but if you don't
Right.
have the resources to do it and it's right there for us, yeah, I would
Okay.
write that.
Yeah. Thanks.
And the grants don't necessarily just have to be for businesses and facades, right? I
Right.
mean, it can be for
Right.
things like pocket parks and other
Yeah.
things that
Right,
make the town just
exactly.
more of an appealing place anyhow.
Yeah.
And then that in turn makes potential business owners a little more ambitious.
Right.
Do we have a sam.gov account yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you personally, the
Yeah, the
EDA? No,
EDA.
you don't.
Okay. Well, I knew the town did. The other thing that's nice, and this would be back to the property owners, the one thing that Main Street can do is write an economic feasibility grant to come into some of these properties and see, it's free money that we could potentially get for property owner to really sit back and look at the potential that the property has. So this partnership, I really see it being a big thing.
Right.
Just as an
Agreed.
aside. And plus, we also have access to Fraser and Associates designs for free because we're a Main Street designated community. So that's another benefit for businesses or property owners when they're getting ready to decide what they want to do.
You mean like you did for Littleston and
Mhm.
Wise Drugstore?
Correct.
So what other buildings would you consider doing? Or you don't want to go there? yet?
It would all depend on, I know we did one for the Foskey's building as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, no,
Yeah.
their loan for those year, the loan that the Williston got didn't go through, but they did do the feasibility planning. So it all depends on what the property is, and I don't see why Main Street couldn't discuss it with any potential property. Why not?
especially vacant ones. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, this is good. We'll circle back. Okay, now, unless anyone has anything else. Moving on to our meeting schedule. I believe that we originally envisioned that we would meet every month, and it was evident that that wasn't necessary. So, I just wanted to sort of see what you all think would make sense for going forward.
Every other month or quarterly, depending on, the activity or
mhm.
maybe any new sparked interest in what we just discussed or something going on with the listing,
Yeah,
We are required to have 4 meetings a year. Just so we know.
right. That's in the law, right? Okay, so why don't, we can make an amendment to our bylaws that we can vote on next time. There's a couple other things I think we should update and, that,
So you want to do the bylaws at the next meeting?
yeah, I think we could update them to reflect what's actually coming to happen, right, over this year.
Maybe we could have a potential couple grants to discuss too. Maybe
A good idea.
if I get a couple minutes, I'll be happy to check it out.
That would be awesome. That would be really good. Right, and that would help us, I think having some concrete examples would be super
Sure.
helpful for our discussion.
And then we're going to work on the treasurer job
Yep.
description, which should be short and sweet.
Yep. It's really hard later, right? So- All right, very good. So that is everything on our agenda, unless anyone has sort of any new business or anything. Yes,
So you say you're going to update the bylaws?
I think we should, just to reflect that we don't meet every month, for example.
Oh, okay.
Things like
Things
that.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, our bylaws state that to serve on the EDA, no member shall be an employee of the town except one member of the town council who shall serve as a voting member of the board of directors. I read that as one member. Do you say how you read it, Katie? Shall.
I do think the state code doesn't restrict it for population
I've not been
size.
able to find anything in the state
Okay.
code. Have you?
I'm sure I have it. I can find it. We'll look for it.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question because now we have 2 members of the town
Mhm.
council who will also be on this board. Certainly, town council is a demanding job. Well, I think the one member that's cited in the section you just read seems like it's intended for transparency.
Well, and I think it's intended also to separate the EDA from council by limiting it to one.
Mhm.
And that's the whole purpose of the EDA, is to be a separate functioning body.
Last in, first out.
Well, that needs to be discussed. There may be other volunteers.
Let's do some research on the, and maybe the town's attorney is willing to help us with this, or we can look at it more carefully, but whether the, what the town's kind of mandate is under the law, and then it's a good question. It might be better to have, but
My term goes end to the end of next year. If that makes everybody feel excited.
short leash.
I am on a very
Right.
short leash.
So, okay, so that's another thing we'll bring up.
I just,
Thank you for
I'm a
raising it.
code
Yep.
follower. I
Yep.
think there's a
Sure.
reason for
Yep.
code and
Good.
we have to follow it.
Yeah, it's written in such a way that the meaning isn't entirely clear, is it? But that would be good to find out more about that. Okay. All right. Thank you for mentioning that. Any other new business or other items?
So I do have the state code here. Section 15.2-4904,
15.2 dash what?
4904.
Okay. I kept
Um,
on to that, but I couldn't find it.
So it looks like section C, no director shall be an officer or employee of the locality in a town with a population less than 3,500 where members of the town governing body may serve as directors, provided they do not constitute a majority of the board.
Hmm.
So we could amend our bylaws to accept that if that's the board's will, or we can kick me out. One of the two.
Can you give me a copy of that, please?
Sure, I'm gonna email it to you.
No rush. As we learned with planning commission, state code supersedes town code, because we were following town code and it wasn't correct.
And
Usually the municipalities create the state, so, okay, that was good, thank you. Anything else? Any good news? We have Christmas in Onancock on Saturday. That should be good for town.
and the parade.
Parade, hopefully it won't rain. Santa's coming.
Mhm.
Weather forecast is good.
Is it?
Good.
Oh, fantastic. That's
All right.
great. That's great. Very good. Right. Anything more? All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Great.
And
Thank
it
you
is,
all.
what time?
7 o'clock.